well, what's it missing? Let's talk about it positively. And like, well, it's missing the human component and it's missing community.
Right.
And it might be that simple, right? You're like, well, what's the problem with the Amazon model gone wrong or Fordism, Josh skipping the last step? What's like, well, you've missed the human component and the community of it, right?
Yeah.
And same with arts too. If the greatest arts come when there's a human connection, the greatest art happens in a live setting when there's a person right there and you feel that energy and the audience and you're with people. And think about when you have 1,000 people or 100 people next to you that are amped up, that makes the energy through the roof. And like, that's part of what makes that concert so great. And maybe that applies to all this is how do we put maybe the human component and the community component back in it? And the further we get away from that, I think that's when these problems come in.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's interesting. Totally, like the sense of ownership too, because if you think about say, conductor conducting a single violinist in a group, you know, the conductor might scream at the violinist, and those musicians are willingly, you know, being the slave or, you know, what it is. But what they get in return is this beautiful piece that they're going to make together. They're allowing that because they're part of it. It's like a collective. Where, and same with like this Henry Ford type factory, if indeed he was giving back to the workers, it's like, yeah, you're going to automate these human bodies, work really hard, sacrifice a lot, but at the end of the day, you make a lot more, make something better, and then we all get rewarded. Maybe that's what we're missing in the Amazon model. The worker doesn't, it's not really like a co-op, it's like the worker doesn't get rewarded.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, the great philosopher Andre Iguodala of the Golden State Warriors, on the back of his jersey, they were all putting different labels on the back of their jersey in protest for Black Lives Matter this last season. And his said group economics. And I thought that was brilliant. I think that's exactly what you're saying is look at the group and create your own economic structure so that that smaller group can benefit. I'd love to hear him actually, nobody interviewed him on that. I'd love to hear.
That's a great slogan, yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to hear him talk about it. I don't know anything about group economics myself.
Because there's a total difference between willingly, temporarily giving away your complete, you know, yourself to someone, but if it's kind of consensual and something, it's different.
You know, guys, this might be slightly off topic, but also related.
We're way past that point, actually.
Oh, we're gone. I'll hope. So one of the most powerful.
I love this stuff.
Yeah, like one of the most powerful things I've seen probably in the last 10 years. As Justin knows, and Josh, you know, I got married recently, and my wife is from Spain, so I'm in Spain, and they're building the Castellers, which are like the human towers where there's a ring of people, then a ring climb up on top, then another ring climb on top, and I saw this not even in an official, they have like official competitions. It wasn't anything. This was just like a normal street thing happening. And it was probably the most powerful thing I've seen in the last 5 years. And it was like a ring of adults, then another ring of adults standing on their shoulders, another one. And it keeps getting younger. And by the very top, you have like a little 4-year-old climb up maybe 50 feet in the air. All these people watching after them and climb up and get on the top. And there's a band there that starts playing.
Oh, because they succeeded? Oh,
they succeeded. And so it was one of the most powerful things I've seen for years upon years. Almost moves me to tears. And I'm not an emotional person. As Justin well knows, I'm very hardened. And but it's like, why? Like, why did that strike at the core? And I think there's no substitute, which is ironic because we're on screens as we speak, but there's no substitute for the human connection, for being in a room with people, or in that case, out in a field with people, and like multi-generation and talking and helping and adjusting group economics, right? In this case, not for financial, but it was weird. How could this be such a big deal? It was the most empowering thing I've seen probably in 20 years. And it wasn't for money and it wasn't for fame. It was just community working together to achieve something impressive, feeling good, working together.
Yeah.
And I think like if that for me might be like a shining example of the brilliance of community and human connection, I think all the negatives we talked about over here, we buy everything online. It's all through Amazon, not the local store where you know so-and-so's dad works there. we're on a watch instead of out there running with 3 of our friends and like, let's go take a run and stuff like that. It's like all those negatives are directly pull the seesaw here. And those Castellers directly go like this. And to me, maybe it's that simple, like getting together as a community, doing meaningful activities and connecting with humans. And maybe that's like our single greatest way to fight against those other negatives that we were talking about.
I think that's amazing. I feel like
100,000%.
I feel like we should stop it just on that.
Josh and Justin, I would challenge you to this. Okay, we're from a different culture, right? So there, in addition to everything, it was also pulling in the Spanish and the Catalan culture all inside that, and the music and the people. It was just so moving. And my challenge to all of us, could we create something of that just significance here? And what would that look like?
That's a really interesting thought experiment. I love stuff like this because it gets back to like the best part of human nature, exactly, the whole teaming together and automating. But the good part of it is, you know, we can take a rope, throw it on a tree. Each one of us can try to pull as hard as we can. We can't pull it down. But if we get 100 of us, we can pull a tree out of the ground. You know, it's just it's an amazing thing when humans team up.
Yeah. I think one of the things that might stop that a little bit is people put other people on such a pedestal all the time. It's like, I think we have to be potentially a little bit more relaxed on how we view other people, because it seems that in today's culture is like, well, for example, there is a group of people who are about efficiency of how to get wealthy. It's like there's a bunch of books out there.
Fire.
One of the what's that?
Fire. Financial independence. Retire early.
There you go. Right. And
that's one of these movements. You know, retire by 45. Et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like super attractive to people right now. Right. It's extremely popular. There's, you know, all these different, I guess we could call them actually like self-help type methodologies on how to do that. Right. You have like that rock star David Goggins, who it's like, I'll run through anything to get there, right? Then you kind of have like the Joe Rogan school, which is, you know, take personal accountability, but work really hard and just do what you love type of stuff. And then you have other people who are, you know, you got the 4-hour work week people. And I think that actually from those people, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head.
Mr. Money Mustache.
Mr. Money Mustache.
I mean, Justin, no joke, like extensions of the 4-hour work week.
Yes.
The FIRE thing, the financial independence, retire early, that thing, Mr. Money Mustache, and a bunch of these pseudo offshoots of that type of thing.
And one of their methodologies, Tim Ferriss. Yeah. One of their methodologies is surround yourself with people that you want to be like, right? And so it's like, there's this idea of cutting yourself off from people that aren't on that path to success that you're looking for. So now you're like hanging around your friends and you're like, well, you know, Donnie, he's doing pretty good, but you know, he's not I can't spend my time with him that much because he's not making that threshold. There's a little bit of that, right? Where we're constantly analyzing other people in today's world. I think it's in the water, right? And maybe that's
those negative aspects
detracting, from that social community thing they use. And obviously the fact we're on phones in our own silo